Hello everyone. Today let's do a WordPress theme from scratch. Means that we convert the HTML file that you have into a WordPress theme, and you call all the blog posts or the content from the database and to display on your web pages. Let's get started. For this exercise, I have prepared a cravings exercise folder where you can download from the description of this video. So you just download the zip file, unzip it, and you will get this list of files with you. So let's talk about the page that we are going to convert into the WordPress. So if you were to right click, open your index.html with the Google Chrome, so basically your web page looks like this. This is just a static page, and we are going to convert it into the PHP, a real WordPress theme. So first we look at this homepage, and we are going to do we will cutting a cake today. So this is a cake, so we are going to cut it into different pieces. First, I'm going to cut this header, so that you cut it out and save it as header.php. I'm going to cut this sidebar, become sidebar.php. Of course, within the sidebar, I have a search form. I have already prepared a search form.php, and I'm going to cut this out. This is basically a content post, and I'm going to cut this out. This is basically a footer. And of course, with the recent commented, we have a recent commented .php prepared for you. So basically what you've seen here, right, they are different sections and they are put all together in the index page. But indeed, they are individual PHP files. So let's take a look of the folders for this exercise. All right, I have this instructions.php here, so you need to open up with your editor. So I'm going to put side by side, so it's easier for me to convert all those pages. All right, so this index.html, I'm going to open it with my editor and put it on the right side. Okay, instruction means that these are the PHP block for you to copy and paste into the page. So this index.html, I would like to save this index.html. All right, index.html, I'm going to save it as index.php. Later, we don't need the HTML, we just need index.php. All right. So after I have saved it as index.php, I will look at my my file here. So the first thing we need to cut out will be the header. The header. So this header we cut out into a individual file. So I'm going to cut from line 1 to before this page started. So I'm going to cut from line 1 to line 23. So I'm going to cut out this part, line 1 to line 23, until I find this comment closing header. So I just cut line 1 to 23. Just cut it out, and I open a new file. Okay, as you notice, I didn't close my index. I just opened a new file and I just paste it here. This part is wherever I paste here, right? I will save it as header.php in the same folder. Save. Use PHP. Alright. So what I'm having here is header.php. I'm going to use a PHP block in this header.php. So let's take a look of instruction.php here. So we need to replace the title tag. Can you see the title tag? The opening title tag and the closing title tag. So I'm going to copy this title tag and I'm going to replace my title tag here. This line number 5. This line number 5. I'm going to replace with my PHP block. Basically, what we are doing here is we are going to call the WP title, means that the WordPress title, which you first register your WordPress, when you first set up your WordPress, you give it a title. This is the title. We want to get this title from your database, and you notice this can be linked. So when I click, it will link to the main page. That's why I have this link to the main page. All right. So this is to replace the title from the database. Okay, the second thing is we have to link our style sheet to the template CSS. It means we want to link to this style.css. So we need to use PHP code to link to this style.css. So I'm copying this from my instruction.php, line number 4. I just copy this, line number 4. And I want to replace this header.php. I'm able to find this style.css. Line number 6 here, I'm going to delete and I replace it with my PHP block. Okay. Okay, after we done this, I'm going to look for H1, header 1. The header 1 will basically look for the block title. Alright, again, I will just copy my instruction.php line number 5, opening H1 and the closing H1, I copy, and I come here and I found my H1 here on my in your header.php line 12. Can you see opening and closing H1? I will just this H1 I just delete and replace with the H1 with PHP block. And I'm done with the third thing in header.php. And next, I'm going to copy this from instruction.php, this unordered list, open unordered list and closing unordered list, copy, and basically I'm going to replace what the unordered list in my header.php. What it means here, right? These are the page lists. Let's say you have homepage, about us, and portfolio, and you have links, contact us pages. Let's go back to how it looks like. So if you have 5 pages, it will be listed here, and all these are just statics. If you look at the our header here is static, means that we type it, but we want to extract the real pages, all these real pages from the database. So I'm going to replace it with the PHP block, which is here from line 6 to 8. So I have identified the static text here, open UI and closing UI. I will just delete it, and I will just paste what I have copied from instruction.php. Now we have done header.php. Congratulations. Please save it. So next, we look at sidebar. This one we have done. We can close it. So we'll go back to our index.php and let's look at the sidebar. So if you scroll down until you find the line 21 or div ID sidebar, all right, until you find, this is the beginning, until you find the comments of closing sidebar here. So for my case is 21, line 21 to line 35 from this index.php, line 21 to line 35. So I'm going to cut it out, 21 to 35. I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to open a new file and paste it here, and I'm going to save it as sidebar.php. Let's save it inside the cravings exercise folder. So here we have a few things to change. First, you look at our web page again. We have a search bar here. So we're going to insert the search bar, and we list the category and the archive by months. Let's say you have the post posted on the October, September, August, all right? So all this will be listed, right? So we need to replace all this. So let's look at the instruction. So under instruction line number 10, these are the things for sidebar. So let's take a look at the first thing, line 11. So I want to include the search bar. I want to call the search from.php. So I will just copy this, and I will just, before the ID search sidebar, I will just paste it here. So this is the search form before the sidebar. All right. So I will just put it here. Next, we are going to add the UI, the category. So if you look at, I'm going to call out all the categories from the database. Let's get back to the code. From the instruction.php, I have instruction.php. I have a list of unordered list, UL, unordered list, opening and the closing. This is to call out all the categories you have in your database. So I just copy, and from here I have identified the unordered list of category is here. Opening line 4, closing line 8. So this is the unordered list for category. You have another unordered list for archive. You don't get confused. So make sure before the H3 of archives. So from line 4 to line 8 with the LED, and I replace with the PHP code. Let's go to the H3 and other unordered list for archives based on by month. It means that it organizes all the posts by month. So I identify the opening UL and the closing UL is here. So I will just delete and put my archive unordered list here. So congratulations, you have done part 1. Let's continue part 2. Do subscribe to my channel and like my video, and let's continue part 2.